we're entering the last session of this seminar, general question and answer. So not only the matter of earthquake and Fukushima power plant matters, but also you can ask any question to the universities. So it's welcome from the flowers and also other sites such as Ito campus. Any question is okay. Yes, please.
As you mentioned, the iodine 131 is very severe for the children. So as I know, for our food cooking time, we use the sodium chloride salt or table salt. So it contains, and it is prepared by the seawater. So after the tsunami victim times, are there any sodium chloride salt prepared from the seawater? And how about the iodine 131 concentrations in sodium chloride salt?
At the moment, the government agency is still working on to identify the sodium concentration value after the accident. And it is most likely that the values would vary from high to low depending on the day and also the location again. But this information will be made public on the government website sooner or later, and part of the information is already available on the government website. I don't know whether I accurately understood your question, but when it comes to the sodium contained in seawater, and of course the radioactive materials are also in the seawater, but we don't drink seawater right away, but we actually there's some radioactive materials or the substance through eating seafood like fish. But once that agency detects that a certain seafood or any kind of food contains more radiation than the regulation, the legal limits, that will be stopped from going in market, so that they will be kept out of our access for intake.
Thank you. Any more? Yes.
Thank you for the presentations and the information. I have two questions. Number one, I know when there is when earthquake is about to occur or tsunami is about to occur, there is always a warning system. But for somebody like me that have never experienced earthquake, when that type of warning system occur, how do I know that it's a warning system for tsunami or earthquake? Like, I've never heard it before in my life. So I don't know, even if there is a warning, I can't understand. I just sit and be looking. So how do we, as students, as foreign students, how do we get used to this kind of warning system? Then number two question is, if this type of power source is very dangerous up to this level, because of availability of water in Japan, in and around Japan, why is Japanese government not using hydropower source? Why is it this kind of power source that is very dangerous? Thank you.
For the first question, I think Professor Shimizu will answer.
Thank you very much for a good question, and it's quite a difficult question to answer in a simple terms. But as you actually said, Japanese people are relatively used to earthquake, and so that they are always psychologically prepared for some sort of earthquake, so to speak, so they don't get panicked as those who are not familiar with earthquakes. And of course, many of the international students studying at Kyudai are not used to earthquakes, so I can understand very well that you would be panicked and you would go at a loss. So probably the university should provide some sort of special seminar designed for the international student in the forms of lectures or training courses or even drills in the future. But from a general viewpoint, generally speaking, when you feel a quake or the shake, and the first thing you have to do, the first thing you should not do is that to go outside. You stay where you are if you're inside the house and try to protect your body, but particularly your head, and make sure all the fires are out. These are the two most important things. And another thing is that there's always a site which is designated as a evacuation site at the time of the disaster, such as an earthquake, near to where you live. So that please make sure that you know the route and fully, so that you can actually use that information and knowledge at the time of the disaster. And at the same time, I'm sure there's a kind of pamphlet about this measures against disasters and so forth, available in English. I don't know for sure, but I hope so. So reading that kind of pamphlet is also make you feel more prepared for such events. About the warning system, I must tell you that no warning system is perfect. You can get the warning on TV and radio, but they're not perfect. They may make mistakes. So that use your knowledge and information according to your own knowledge and depending on where you are. For instance, in my presentation, I said the Keigo Fault, located in Fukuoka, would not cause a tsunami even if at the time of the rupture. But at the time of the fault rupture, if you are close to the sea, and of course you should use your common sense that you have to move to a higher place. That kind of things are also very important to remind you on always. Thank you.
Well, and for the second questions, Professor Idemitsu.
As you said, that of course, as Japan may have the better opportunity for the more hydropower generation. At the moment, hydropower as a power supplied by hydropower plants accounts for about 10% of the all electricity or the power demand in Japan. And it is very difficult to raise this percentage at the moment for several reasons. One is that we have already built many dams, so that it has become difficult to find a good location for more dams. That's one thing. And even if we can find a place for another dam, we have to pay a lot of attention to its environmental impact, which again makes the business harder than before, more difficult than before. So, if you think of replacing a nuclear power station, the other option, probably the only option, would be thermal power generation. Renewable energies are not fully developed to replace the nuclear power station to fulfill the power demand in Japan. And also the new renewable power sources still have the problem in respect of cost and also the available space. So the only possible option would be thermal power generation in the place of nuclear.
Thank you very much. Well, it's actually a little bit difficult to answer. Is it okay for you? Yeah. Any more questions?
Thank you very much for the wonderful and informative presentation. I would like to ask a question on a very recent development of TEPCO. Recently, they have declared a roadmap, declaring the time needed to control the accident. Maybe it's 12 months or something like this. So my question is that how TEPCO is going to control the accident as a whole? What are the technical details that TEPCO has to follow? Thank you.
According to the TEPCO's roadmap for the accident control, which was released yesterday, the first 3 months will be spent on the decontamination of the contaminated water and the preparation for the installation of a new cooling system. And for the following 6 months, and all these new cooling system will be put in operation along with the containment of the contaminated water and also the various kinds of repair work. That's what I understand from the TEPCO's roadmap.
Thank you for your presentation. My question is, who is responsible for checking how much radiation level in the food before they are being shipped to the market, and how reliable is that? Thank you.
The system is the umbrella instruction comes from the national government down to the prefectural government, and in response to that, the each prefectural government conduct the formal measurements of the radiation in food. And each prefectural government has their own measurement agency, which is designed to do this kind of work. And depending on the result they get from that measurement, if the result, the value is high, of course, that particular foodstuff is not allowed to go into the market. But even if the same foodstuff is measured 3 times and all 3 times in succession that foodstuff is proved radiation-free, then the banning is lifted so that foodstuff can be shipped over to the market. That's the system and regulation.
A question to Professor Idemitsu, also about contamination of food. Recently, a lot of foods have had 3 measurements below the level, and so they're free to ship. But is my understanding correct that, as you mentioned in your chart, these levels are based on an amount of becquerel per kilo? So, if, for instance, milk, the level for milk is 300 becquerel per kilo. If milk has 250 becquerel per kilo, it's below the level and it's safe to ship. But if I drink 2 liters of milk, that would be the same as if I drink 2 liters of milk with 250 becquerel per liter or per kilo, that would be the same exposure as drinking 1 liter of milk containing 500 becquerel, and 500 becquerel per liter, that would be banned. So I find it a bit strange that the government is recommending people to consume produce from Fukushima if it's below the level. Isn't it the truth that as you should avoid it as much as possible, even if it's below the level, because even though the risk is minimal, it's still better to have no risk at all?
You're right in saying if you take something twice as much, and that means you're taking just twice as much in this case, in the radiation, for example. If the milk contains 6 microsieverts per kilogram, and if you take 2 kilos, that means you're taking in 12 microsieverts. That's correct. But again, all these values are really almost negligible in respect to the human health and human health hazard in reverse. So I'm not saying that you should choose the milk, say from Fukushima, for instance. But even if you drink the milk from Fukushima, that will not cause any, or very, very, very little, almost no health hazards because of that. So it can be negligible. And especially when you think of the other materials which has the carcinogen type of things. And even compared with those kind of things, this number, say the milk coming from Fukushima, is I think can be concluded as safe foodstuff.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, there are still a lot of questions, but the time's up. So, as well as other campus, so thank you for coming. Well, here's a person from Emergency Management Office of Kyushu University. But Kyushu University is supporting to recover the Tohoku crisis, and the office offer a lot of information on this matter. So, Kurata-san, could you say something about the?
Okay, one of you actually asked what to do at the time of the earthquake. That's a very good question. And if it happens while you're on campus, the first thing you have to do is just to put yourself under the table and the desk to protect you, and to find exit, and also distinguish all the fires if there's any. That's the first thing you're supposed to do. And then further instruction will come from the staff, and they will actually escort you over to the sports ground and tennis courts again on campus. This is the general procedure at the time of the earthquake. But if you're outside the campus, and the only communication tools would be as emails and university home website. So please make sure you get information from the email and university website. And particularly, the university will most likely to send you, ask you whether you're safe or not. Well, you are safe. You can receive it when you're safe. But anyway, but safety information. So make sure that you actually make it a rule to check your emails and university website regularly and frequently. Not only in the time of disaster, but also in the disaster as well, and respond to it if it requires a response. As for the manual for evacuation, I'm sorry at the moment that the English version is not available, but we're working on it, and it will be available in the near future. As in the meantime, please get information from the university website. Thank you.
Thank you. So anyway, we are facing the difficulties. Japan facing the difficulties. There will be the three kind of damages of Japan on the matter of Tohoku crisis. The first damage is a direct damage caused by the earthquake and tsunami. The second is the pollution, radioactivity pollution caused by the destruction of Fukushima nuclear power plant. You agree? But the third damage is caused by the rumors. So to avoid the third kind of damage, we would like to continue our effort sending information across to you as possible. And please visit our website. Most of your questions try to on our website Q&A pages. And if you have any question today, please tell us. We try to answer as possible. So anyway, thank you for participation today. And please give Professor Shimizu and Professor Idemitsu a hand for appreciation. Thank you very much.